God bless him, but the night that Owen Hart fell, what was that like behind the scenes?
Man, it was so... Yeah, surreal doesn't do it justice.
When did you realize that things went wrong, Mick? I mean, at first, are you guys like us at home going, "Oh, this is a work, it's an angle," or do you know, no, this is a problem?
The strange thing about that night is I wasn't really in the mix. I was in a 10-man tag team match, and it wasn't necessary that I approached it with the same type of emotional zeal that I usually would. I knew I was just playing a role in a match, and I was writing a book at the time. And so I was literally off by myself in an office with no one else. I don't even think anyone had talked to me about the match. The match is really secondary to the book, which turned out to be Have a Nice Day, that I was working on. And so I was just in an office with a monitor, and I looked over to the monitor, and I saw just a crowd shot, and I thought, wow, that's strange. And then 5-10 minutes later, I looked over, and it's still the same crowd shot. And my only thought was they must be having technical difficulties. And then it was Pat Patterson who came in, and he goes, "Oh, did you?" And I won't even try to do Pat's French-Canadian accent; it's not really appropriate for the story. But he said, "Did you see what happened to Owen?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Yeah, Owen fell." And then Pat just broke into tears. He goes, "They don't know if he's alive or dead." I just went racing down that the hallway. And when I got there, there was a guy named Francois Petit, and he was performing CPR. I was standing on top of the gurney performing CPR on Owen, and it was just chill. It was like nothing I had ever done in life had prepared me for that moment, and calling my kids. I remember, telling my daughter about this, that because they watched all the pay-per-views, and usually it was me calling home to assure them that I was okay, and in this case, I called home, and and my daughter's going, where is him? We're talking about Owen, and I said I was crying. I loved Owen. Really was one of my best friends. And I said, he's gone, honey. He's with the Angels. And she said, but where is him? And she hadn't heard. She'd never heard her dad break down like that. It was just devastating, and I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in that match. It didn't even occur to me when I saw blood in the ring and where the boards were broken. I remember the referee telling us, "Look, the boards are broken in the corner," and it was all just a blur. I mean, it was just this. I couldn't. It was by far the worst. The worst experience, worst night in wrestling history as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I completely agree, and I bring it up fragilely, but also respectfully. I like to keep, I like to keep his memory alive, and I also like to point out the fact that, Axel, you got to be really careful. You never want history to relive itself, and it does. It unfortunately does in our society and in business as a whole. So, at any rate, thank you for answering that, and I'm kind of apologetic to have brought it up. But it's a memorable night for me too. I was at home just as a fan. I was in college. We all ordered the pay-per-view. We all watched it, and as many times as the King and Jim Ross assured us as viewers it was not an angle, the more we were convinced it was.
And hoping that it was.
Praying that it was. Absolutely. You absolutely wanted to believe it. And the show went on, but, as the next characters and the next wrestlers came out, smart marks were reading through their body language going, man, something's going on here.
Yeah.
And this is just tough. As the internet was coming out.
You don't apologize for bringing it up. It was a huge, it was, huge part of our history, and I think Owen is sometimes overlooked. And I'm going to tell you, this is the nicest thing among the nice things that anyone has ever said to me. I was really proud of the fact that when I went to, touched by the fact that when I did my show in Calgary, 17 different Harts came out, even Harts who don't usually talk to each other. They came out to support me in Calgary. And they always appreciated, that Owen liked me, and I had at one time quit the WWE for one full day after the Montreal.
Whole day, long walk out there. Good discipline.
It was one day, and then my wife basically read my contract to me, where I just realized I breached my contract and couldn't work anywhere in the world for the next 5 years. And I came back that next day, but the one day lockout was one day longer than anyone but Owen, and I think in Jim, any non-family member had walked out, and I think the Harts always appreciated that, and I love traveling around with Lindsay, one of the Hart nieces. And when I go out to Western Canada, she'll help me out with my shows and sell merchandise. And she dropped me off at the hotel, and she said, "Hey, I have this little card for you." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And I went upstairs and I read it. It was just the nicest thing. It said, "You remind me so much of my Uncle Owen, and part of the reason I love spending time with you is that I feel like I'm getting some of the time back that was, taken away from me."
Wow,
that's among the nice things anybody's ever said about me. So, no problem. Bringing up Owen is that was an awful night, but what a great guy, and really happy that WWE's coming out with the DVD